Hi, well, 4 weeks to go till we can play golf for real. I'm just honing up my wedge game, ready for getting back on the golf course. And today's video, just a quick one, I'm going to introduce you to a concept called personal par. And it's something that I've been doing with my clients and group classes and things for many, many years. It's really interesting. It's going to involve you needing a paper and pen. So I'll explain it as we go through. But basically, for those of you who like a little bit of stats about your golf and analysis, this is invaluable. And for those of you who don't, this is still going to make you feel a lot better about your golf. I do promise you that. So stay tuned, have a look what we're talking about, and then after we've worked it out, we'll show you ways that you can use this going forward to help you analyse your game and identify the areas which are going to make your game improve the quickest. So we all know what the par of the golf course is. It's written on the scorecard here, and at Woking for gents it's 70 and for ladies it's 73. And I think we all sort of have a basic idea of how par is worked out. I think the common conception is that it's what a scratch golfer would go round the course in error-free. So it's basically made up by the number of shots it is expected a scratch golfer gets to the green in, followed by 2 putts per hole. Now we know that golf never takes that format, but that's the idea of par. So for those players who are not scratch golfers, the par of the course is relatively arbitrary. The personal par that we're about to work out now is going to be the one that is more appropriate for you. So what I'll do is I'll just put up on the screen here a scorecard that I've filled out, and I've filled it out as if I was an 18 handicapper club golfer who drives the ball round about 200 yards off the tee. And you can see that in the column there where I've written the numbers, that is the number of shots that this player, the 18 handicapper, is going to take to reach the greens on these holes. Now the golden rule here is that if you're having to hit a long hybrid or fairway wood, that doesn't count as an approach shot, because you're not expected to hit the green regularly enough from that distance away if you're using those longer clubs for it to count as a potential green hitting opportunity. Just so that you know, like Justin Rose, for example, from over 200 yards away, hits only 36% of green. So that even when you get to the very high standard of player, when you get to a certain distance away from the green, it's not guaranteed that you're going to hit the green from that far away. So the rules here is, picture yourselves going through each hole, and do this for yourself on a scorecard or on a bit of paper if you haven't got one, and just go through the holes and say that if you hit your normal shot, go through how many shots it's going to take you to hit the green. So let's have a couple of look at the holes here for this chap that I've done, this 18 handicapper. You can see on the first hole, a drive of 200 yards means the green is reachable with an iron, therefore 2. On the second hole, it's 200 yards even off the yellows, and that's going to be a driver for this player. So that goes down as a 2-shot hole. If you do hit the green, it's a bonus, but realistically, it's not expected to hit the green. And so on and so forth through the holes. You'll see on the 14th, for example, it takes 4 shots because, a driver, 2 fairway woods is still not quite going to reach the green, so I've put 4 down there. And once you've done that, if you add up all the numbers, as you can see there, I get 23 shots on the outward 9, 23 shots on the inward 9 by chance, comes to 46. Then we add on the 36 putts, 2 per hole, and we get a personal par for this golfer of 82. Now given that this player's handicap is 18, 82 is 12 over the par of the course, and his handicap reflects that he normally scores 18 over the par of the course. So what we can say from this is that actually this player is only making on average 6 errors per round, 6 errors that are going to cost him a shot per round. Now I know it's not as clinical as that, because there'll be half errors, there'll be bits and bobs here, that no 2 rounds will be the same. But it's very interesting to look at the course in that way, because this player now knows that actually even if he plays faultless, flawless golf for his standard of golf, 82 is round about the best he can expect. Now there may be days he shoots 78, 79 because he holds a few putts or chips in a couple of times, or the ground is running really fast and you can reach a couple more of those greens because the summer and winter will offer different personal pars for every player, depending on the run out. We particularly see this with the ladies section, where in the summer the scores that win medals are relatively near to handicap, and in the winter they move further away, purely because the ladies' personal pars get bigger because their ball is not rolling on the fairways. They can't reach as many greens. So this applies to everyone. So once you've done your personal par, have a little look at that and see where it reflects with your handicap. Because the difference between the personal par and your handicap is really reflective of the error rate of your golf. So what can we do with this information once we know it? Your personal par. Let's take the example of our club golfer again. He's playing off 18, regularly shoots in the mid to high 80s, wants to get better, but actually now knows that his personal par of the course is 82. So the first and obvious thing to say is that if this player wants to shoot lower than 82, playing off the correct set of tees is going to make a huge difference. If you continue to play off tees where you can't reach the greens in regulation, no amount of practice or training is going to lower your scores. Yes, you can hold the odd putt, so you don't have 2 putts per hole, you might have 1.8, 1.9, but you're talking about reducing the score by 1 or 2 shots maximum. The easiest way is to play off a set of tees that reflect your driving distance. And I am on a big quest over the next few years to get club members to play off the correct set of tees. We'll get rid of the stigmas attached to forward tees or the gender associations which are irrelevant. And the new set of blue tees, which are going to be built in the next few weeks actually, should make the game a lot more enjoyable for those of you who don't drive the ball particularly far off the tee, which is going to happen to all of us as we get older. Okay, so what else can we do with the info? Well, I've got a card, I'll just put it on the screen here now, and this is something you might want to do after your games of golf in analysis form. And I've just written out the first hole there as a score of 5, and you can see I've put some headings on there, which is approach possible, approach executed, and the number of putts. So what I mean by that is, did you put the ball in a place where your final shot to the green, your approach, was possible? So, for example, if you take the 6th hole and you take 3 shots to get up the 6th hole, well, after your second shot, was the ball in a place where your approach to the green was possible? Yes or no? Did you then execute that? In other words, did you put the ball from your approach position into somewhere where you could putt it? So the green or very slightly on the fringe possibly, all counted as a positive, and then the number of putts. And if you build up your scorecard like this with ticks and crosses and the number of putts, it becomes very clear quite quickly as to where the areas for improvement are going to be. And it could be that you're practicing your driving and going to the driving range hitting 100 drivers, where actually that isn't costing you the shots at all. This could highlight the fact that you're taking too many putts, or you're not hitting the greens with your approaches, which is putting pressure on your short game, etc., etc. So having this information to hand is really, really useful for knowing where to spend your time to make your golf better. Another area this information is really useful is helping you to make wise decisions on the golf course. So the strongest correlation statistically we can find in any part of golf analysis is the correlation between the greens hit in regulation and your score. Simple as that. So now that we know your personal greens in regulation, this is really going to help you. So let's say, take for example our 18 handicapper again. He's going to take 3 shots to hit the 6th, day in, day out. That's his greens in regulation. Now there's not as much pressure on that drive, because if he were to hit a fairway bunker or catch the heather on the 6th, we know that the next shot hasn't got to hit the green, it's just got to be put in position to hit the green. So even a drive that ends up in the heather can normally be advanced down the fairway to allow the approach shot, for example. So we're going to move away from putting pressure on our drives, and we're going to move away from taking on miracle shots, because we're playing to a more specified plan of greens in regulation for you specifically. Similarly, that same player, for example, let's take the 3rd hole. Again, our 18 handicapper cannot reach the third hole in 2 shots, but what I'm saying is that in order to hit the green in 3 shots, it might be better for this player to be 90 yards away from the green for his approach shot, because he trusts his pitching wedge time after time with a full shot from that distance, rather than being 45 yards away with a half shot over the bunker, where statistically he's less likely to execute that shot well. It is a harder shot. So again, now that decision can come back to, right, well, let's leave the ball, let's make my second shot on this hole up to about 90 yards from the green, and then I've got a comfortable wedge to play, rather than pushing the ball as far down the hole as possible, and then it leaves the horrible 45-yarder off a sloping lie, half a shot over the bunker, etc., etc. So we can begin to play golf to the new personal par. Okay, let's give you a real life example, as best I can, of what happens when we change our thinking to do with the greens in regulation. So here's the first hole at the Emirates here. You can see by the flag in the top left-hand corner there that it's tucked in the front left corner of the green. There's not a lot of room short of the flag, left of the flag, or even in a direct line behind the flag, there's not that much room either. But if I was in my normal playing mode and not thinking straight, I might just get to the fairway and take dead aim, and I'm now playing to a very small part of the green. If it happens to go wrong, we could find ourselves missing the green and putting pressure on our short game to try and make our par. Let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see, started off okay, but it's got overdraw on it. I only missed the green by a couple of yards, but I found myself in the greenside bunker. Now I've got all manner of a difficult job to try and make up and down to make my par there. Instead, if I had a good caddy, or if I was thinking straight, I'd look at this target and say, okay, well, let's aim for the bigger part of this green. It's nearly double the width at this point, and I've got about 15 yards to play with to the right of the flag. If I hit the green in regulation, I'll have a chance of holding the putt. I almost certainly will 2-putt, and there'll be no pressure on my short game, and I can make a par and move on. So knowing that greens in regulation is the important part here has changed my thinking. I'm going to make sure I hit the green in regulation, and I'm going to do this for hole after hole after hole, round after round, and I know that over time my scoring will improve by hitting more greens in regulation. Okay, let's aim at the big bit, see what happens. Okay, so sensibly away from the flag, I've hit the green, and now I can 2-putt, and there was never any doubt that I was going to be able to execute that. It's a lot easier aiming for the bigger part of the green. There's quite a lot of holes here at Woking which lend themselves to the same way of thinking. We have huge greens. Don't be tempted always to go for the pins if they're in tight little spots. Just think about getting your ball on the green in your personal par regulation number, and then taking your putts and moving on. So hopefully this has been of some use to you. If there's any questions arising from it, and I understand it might be a bit complicated, then please fire emails across to us, or bring it up in a lesson that we might have when we get back together. I'll be really interested to go through it with you, just to see if we can help you improve for the season ahead. So fingers crossed, 4 weeks to go. We really look forward to seeing you back in the clubhouse, in the pro shop, on the golf course. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon.